it's Becca, and we're continuing on our study of Philippians. I'm so excited to learn more about Philippians. I have a box right here. It's kind of like a present. You know, like oftentimes people make videos of them opening a box to see what's inside and see what it's like. Should we see what's in this box? Okay, I'm going to open it up a little bit. No, I think I'll quit. I'm done. Yeah. Do you want to know what's inside? Too bad. I quit. Do you want me to finish opening it? See what's inside? Okay, I quit. Okay, how many of you that are listening want me to finish opening it? Finish what I started. What's in the box? Nah, I'm done. Yeah. Okay. It's Pugsy! Yay! Were you expecting my dog Pugsy to be in there? Pugs, what do you think of the box? What if you got a box that had something that you loved, like a Pugsy? Oh, thanks. Yeah. That would be amazing, but it would be really terrible if I didn't finish opening it. It's like getting a present at Christmas and ripping off a little bit of the wrapping and then going and putting it away and never opening it. That seems weird, right? There are things that are really amazing when they begin, but it also really matters that you finish. And we're going to be looking at God, the beginner and the finisher. Let's go.
There is this letter that was written, and it can be found in the Bible, and it is called the book of Philippians. It was written by Paul. He went on many trips to tell people about Jesus. And he went to this one place in Greece called Philippi. And he helped start a church there. He went 3 times, so he knew them pretty well. So later, when he was thrown in prison somewhere else, they sent Epaphroditus. He took supplies and help to Paul, and Paul sent back a letter, the book of Philippians. And one of the main themes is joy.
Does anybody like to read? I do. I love to read, and the Chronicles of Narnia are some of my favorite by C.S. Lewis, and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is my favorite out of those ones. I want to read you one of my favorite parts. It's very near the beginning, and it says, "What they were seeing may be hard to believe when you read it in print, but it was almost as hard to believe when you saw it happening. The things in the picture were moving. It didn't look at all like cinema either. That's theater, going to a movie theater. The colors were too real and clean and out of doors for that. Down went the prow of the ship into the wave, and up went a great shock of spray. And then up went the wave behind her, and her stern and her deck became visible for the first time, and then disappeared as the next wave came to meet her, and her bows went up again." That's talking about the boat when they say her. "At the same moment, an exercise book which had been lying beside Edmund on the bed flapped, rose, and sailed through the air to the wall behind him. And Lucy felt all of her hair whipping around her face as it does on a windy day." All of this is coming out of a painting that's on the wall. Now, we heard about Edmund and Lucy, but imagine instead, I'm going to put my name in. Imagine your name was in it. So, at the same moment, an exercise book which had been lying beside Edmund on the bed flapped, rose, and sailed through the air to the wall behind him. And Becca felt all her hair whipping around her face as it does on a windy day. Wouldn't that be so cool? Like I'm in the story. And it'd be even cooler if you actually got to jump into the storybook and live it like for real. This is what I'm talking about when I say God's story becomes our story. It's like this is his story, and we learn all about God. And then all of a sudden, and what he's done and what Jesus did, and then all of a sudden, our names are in the story. We're like, wait, what? And when we are saved, when we come to Jesus, and then when we follow Jesus our whole lives, we become a part of his story. And his story is our story. Paul is sort of talking about that throughout Philippians, especially at the beginning, when he's talking to the people of Philippi, the church of Philippi, saying, hey, your partnership Your partnership is amazing, not just for me and between us, but our partnership with Jesus as we follow him and continue to do his mission. You know, he talks a lot a bit about that fellowship, that connection. So it's where our story, God's story becomes our story, but then God's story also becomes your story, and then we're together, and it's our story. All because of Jesus. Now, throughout this video, anytime you see this, I want you to shout out Jesus and go, all right? So you see this picture and you say, Jesus! And then you stop and you keep listening. Let's practice.
Jesus!
Okay, watch for that throughout the video. Well, we don't have to guess what Paul was saying to the Philippians because his letter was recorded and kept in the Bible for us all to read and to learn from. And we're going to go to the Bible and see what it says. One of the things Paul loved to do in all of his letters, and it sounds like God to me, is he liked to encourage people. So there's lots of encouragement and reminding them. And this whole first chapter is a lot, and into the second chapter is a lot of reminding people of Jesus.
Jesus!
Reminding them and encouraging them about what Jesus has done and who Jesus is to us. And so there's a bit of that in this verse for today.
Jesus!
Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 1, verse 6.
What does all that mean? Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn and discover. So let's begin with being confident. It means I know for sure. Like when I opened the box, was that a cat? Was that a gorilla? Or was that a giraffe? Was it an insect? Small beetle? Or was it a dog named Pugsy that belongs to Becca? I am confident that it was not a giraffe. I am confident that it was not a gorilla. I am confident that it was not a beetle. If you didn't look closely, you might think it's a cat, but I know Pugsy and I know who put him in the box, and I am confident that that was my dog Pugsy. Everybody give me a thumbs up. What are other situations that you have felt confident in? Not just confident that something is something, but like, have you ever felt confident? Like, yeah, I can do this. You're going to go do something and you're like, yeah, I can do this. I got this. Have you ever felt that way? Well, Paul is saying, I am confident and I am sure of what I'm about to tell you. And then this is where we learned that Jesus is a beginner and a finisher, because he said the work that Jesus began in you, he will finish. So what God starts, he finishes. We know that. We learn that from this verse. This is amazing, because there are lots of times that we quit and other people quit, but God's no quitter. Nope. And when we talk about part of joy being having this hope for the goodness of God and what God will do, and that he'll do what he promised, he will finish what he started. So he started something, which is amazing, and he's going to finish it, which is amazing. And so we have a hope in that. There's a word that some people use. It's called blessed assurance. What? It's a really old-fashioned word, everybody. It's really old. There's actually a song that was written by a lady named Fanny Crosby, and it's called a hymn. Lots of churches still sing them. They're special songs. They're not always God songs, but more often than not. And this one, Blessed Assurance, was written probably about 130 years ago. Yeah, it's old, guys. It's old. You don't know anybody that old. So it's older than everybody that's on the planet right now. It's an old song, and people are still singing it. In fact, I'll put a link to a version of that song in the video. And what Fanny Crosby, who was blind, by the way, so she knew how difficult things could be in life. She had really hard things to deal with. She had to deal with being blind. And like Paul and like a lot of the Christians in the beginning in the book of Acts and right after Jesus died and rose again, they went through a lot of tough times. And Fanny understood that. And when she read Philippians chapter 1, she's like, I get this. I get a joy that you can have no matter what else is going on because of this blessed assurance, this hope, this confidence that God will finish what he started. What he began in me will come to completion. So what is it that God started that he's going to finish? It's like this mirror. When I look into a mirror, I'm going to see who? I'm going to see me. Yep, it's going to be Becca. It's going to be a reflection of what I see. But if I put this mirror on who I am, I want to look less and less like the things of the world and the things of sin and the things that are away from God. And I want to look more and more like Jesus and to be like Jesus. In fact, later in chapter 1 of Philippians, he talks about, I pray that you would have the fruit. So this is really yummy and it grows from a tree. And so he's praying that we grow more and more like Jesus and we'll enjoy the fruit of right living because of what Jesus is doing in us. We're coming more like Jesus, and it creates fruit. And Jesus started this process, and he's going to keep working that in us so that we will eventually become just like Jesus. And fruit, joy is a fruit too, right? So we enjoy the fruit of being like Jesus, like joy.
As well as the good work in us, it also was talking about the good work through us to bring Jesus to other people, like Paul and the Philippians and other followers of Jesus were doing.
I mean, what would we do without Jesus? It is all about Jesus.
Jesus!
Can you imagine if God was a quitter? Like, what if he quit? He was walking on water and he said, come out, Peter. And then Peter steps out and he's like, I'm out of here. And he leaves. And he leaves poor Peter. What if he quit? What are other situations? What if Jesus quit? What if he didn't go to the cross? What if he had quit? God's no quitter. He finishes what he starts. And he finishes what he starts in us. He finishes what he started in the world. And in that, we have this joy that no matter what happens, we're going to get there. Kind of like a race. We can't do any of this on our own. It's only because of Jesus. We especially can't have salvation on our own. It comes from Jesus. He's the beginning. And he's also the finisher. What he starts, he finishes.
Jesus!
Have an amazing week. And as you continue to talk to Jesus and study his word, the Bible, and get together with other followers of Jesus, have that confidence continue to grow and grow in you, that you know that Jesus is a beginner and he's a finisher. What he started, he will finish. And the fruit of joy from that promise will just grow in us to help us stand strong and take that message to the world. Let's go.
Always be joyful because you belong to the Lord. I will say it again, be joyful. Philippians 4:4.